Okay, we've got 2 to go. Next up, we have Justin Yang from Boston, Massachusetts, and the company is MobioSense. Justin, please take the stage. You ready to go?
Good, how are you?
Good luck.
Yeah, no, I think feel very relieved, I would say.
Hi, my name is Justin,
good
and I'm the Chief Medical Officer of MobioSense. I'm also a physician at Harvard Medical School. Today, it is my pleasure to introduce our company to you. Now, before I start, I want to ask all of you a question. Please raise your hand if you know someone who has a heart attack in the past. Well, you're not alone. In fact, every 4 seconds, an American goes to the emergency room suspecting of a heart attack. So why is that a problem for hospitals? Well, the current protocol takes about 16 hours to completely rule out a heart attack. And the reason for that is the traditional troponin test can only be done in central labs in hospitals, and also that is low in sensitivity. So therefore, we see a delay in diagnosis of up to 1.5 hours wasted initially, and also there's a prolonged ER stay of up to 16 hours just for that 2 additional tests. So we see a lot of problem with overcrowding the emergency rooms, and we spend $3,000 per patient. So we need a better test. We need a better test to detect and even prevent heart attacks. And that is why we created Hero. Introducing Hero, an instant and affordable heart attack detection and prevention method. Hero gives you results from 1 drop of blood in 10 minutes, anywhere, anytime. Hero tests high sensitivity troponin, which is 100 times more sensitive than current tests that we use, and at the same time being 70% cheaper. By using our patented semiconductor technology, Hero is the first all-in-one solution that provides you with portability, high sensitivity, ultra-low cost, and we don't need any cold supply chain, and at the same time we have an ultra-long shelf life. Now let me show you how Hero is going to change heart care. We're going to place Hero on the ambulance and also in the emergency room. So when the first responder gets to the patient, the first thing we do is a test on Hero. And then when the patient gets to the emergency room, we do a second test. And the newest European guideline says that if those 2 tests are all negative, then you can safely say that the patient does not have a heart attack. And by using Hero, we're able to save $10 billion and 78 million hours for patients just here in the United States every single year. And I want to direct your attention to the 2 white boxes on this competitive analysis chart. And the first one, you can see that Hero's cost is only a fraction compared to our competitors. And the second box shows you that Hero does not need any reagent. It is a room temperature test, and our shelf life is more than a year. Hero is being protected by 6 patents, 2 of them approved and 4 of them pending. And we have 8 peer-reviewed publications validated in 9 different markers. Now in 2018, we'll be completing our pilots at Mass General Hospital, and we hope to be approved by FDA and CE mark by 2020, at which point we're going to enter the acute detection market. And because this new generation of troponin is so sensitive, that scientists believe it can actually be used to predict and prevent heart attacks. So we believe Hero in the future will be a home and a telemedicine device. Now, the global market for the total global addressable market for high-sensitive troponin use in the emergency room and on the ambulance is $3.3 billion. And we project our revenue to be close to $100 million by year 5. And we want to build that future right here in Buffalo. Commercializing Hero takes about $5 million, and so far we've raised about half. And support from 43North would bring us 1 step closer to our dreams. And at the same time, we're bringing $3 million of investment from our investors to Buffalo and hiring 25 local talents in the next 3 years. All our biochips will be proudly made here right in Buffalo with local talents. MobioSense was founded by 3 high school classmates back in 2015. We now have 9 people on our team from Harvard, Oxford, Cambridge, and National Taiwan University. Our doctors are from Harvard Medical School and also from Oxford, and our engineers have more than 10 years of experience in developing semiconductor products at TSMC, which is a company that makes the chip for your iPhones and is the largest foundry in the world. We also have world-class advisors from both the industry, including Philips, Analog Devices, and Servier, and also from the academics, including National Taiwan University and Harvard Medical School. And we have a co-development and distribution partnership with Servier, who has agreed to invest in multi-million dollars to our company in exchange for a worldwide distribution licensing starting from 2020. We are MobioSense, and the future of heart care starts now. Thank you. Thank you.
You're going to bring someone out to help you out here? Because I know there's someone up there I know wants to ask you a question.
Right. I'm going to bring up Wendell, who is our Director of Business.
All right, you're going to have to speak into the microphone if you're asking questions, okay? Who wants to go first?
Thanks.
Please, Teresa.
Okay, question. How has this been validated thus far? What testing has been done and on what sample size? And have you, in the course of that, presumably done a lot of it, found any false positives in this testing?
Okay, so I'll answer half of the question and I'll direct it to Wendell for the other half. So far, we finished our second generation prototype, and we're one of the 2 companies that's being accepted to co-create program at Mass General Hospital, at which we're going to start rolling out a complete from validation on patient samples and then adoption in the emergency rooms starting from Q1 next year. So far we've done, I think, almost 100 samples on standard samples, and what we're doing is calibrating to make sure that there's a linear correlation, and so far all the tests have been great, and we're able to test up to 2 picogram per milliliter, which is a very, very small number. It's a very low concentration, and that's what we've been doing, and all of the clinical validations will happen in Mass General Hospital starting next year. And I'll let them. And also, to answer the other half of the question, so all these publications, research that has been done in this field shows that if you're at 5 picogram per milliliter, so what we're doing is lowering the limit of detection to a level that has not been done before. And if you lower that to 5 picogram by researchers that have published on JAMA, your negative predictive value is 99.5%, and also a sensitivity of 99%. So it would be become the next gold standard for detecting heart attacks.
What is the current test used in emergency rooms now? Mm-hmm. Who manufactures that product? And then speak to sort of how the cost of that and how you guys will come in cheaper or not.
Right, that's a very good question. The current test that's being used right now is what we call the traditional or the previous generation of troponin, and that is a centralized lab test that's being done on one of those bulky central lab machines. And that test right now, it's ranging from different hospitals. It's between $5 to $10. Medicare reimburses for that for $13. So there's a healthy margin for the hospitals and for us. And the current big players in that field is Abbott and Roche. And they're also, as I was showing on my competitive analysis chart, they're also coming out with handheld devices. But comparing to their handheld devices, we have a significant advantage on our cost, as their readers are in the tens of thousands of dollars, whereas our readers would be only $800. So our adoption would definitely catch up very fast.
Ross?
Can you tell me a little bit more about the worldwide distribution license with Servier, and what are the conditions that go along with that?
Okay, I'll let Wendell answer that question.
Sure. So our deal with Servier is that they'll, in the early stage, invest in us in order to allow us to develop our commercial prototype and some of the other development work in the clinical space and also regulatory applications. And then in response, it would be a worldwide distribution deal, working with them to enter various markets. And we would pursue something like a revenue sharing model for all the revenues generated.
Yeah, so their deal is only on the troponin biomarker. We have a few other pipelines, including we've already validated on A1C, on a new kidney injury marker, and all the different tests that we've validated on HIV and hepatitis. And those are not part of the deal, and we're actively actually talking to, it's still confidential, another pharmaceutical company in developing an investment partnership with them on a kidney injury biomarker.
Is the Servier deal exclusive?
In terms of? I'm not too sure I catch your question.
Is it an exclusive worldwide license?
Yes, it is. And the detail of which market is still to be decided.
So right now, it's a letter of intent.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And
So-
they have agreed to let us publicly say this.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there is some literature that women, the amount of tryptophan that you find in women is less than in men, and so women are not diagnosed. Would going to, did you say 2 picograms?
Yeah, 2 picogram per milliliter. Yeah.
Can you talk about how that might affect?
Right, yes.
Gender differences.
Right, yeah, that's a good question. So once you get to that level, you're actually not really, there's not a lot of gender difference in that because that's such a low level. The gender part doesn't really play into that space. And at the same time, the problem that we have right now is the level that we can detect is so not sensitive and not low enough. So that's why we need to spend 16 hours in the hospital. Just, basically patients sit there, we let them, listen to music and watch TV, and then we get another 2 sets of labs, each 6 hours apart. And that is basically because we're doing that because the troponin kind of takes time to go up. Because the reason why it takes time to go up is also because we can't really see what's going on. So we're just dropping that so low that we can actually see what's going on in there. So that's why we need to do another test an hour apart. And if you see like elevation from your baseline, that's when we say, oops, there's an issue, you need to get cath, you need to have intervention and all that. So that's where we're coming in to decrease the time from 16 to 3, and then to get to the first lab down to 10 minutes, right where it happens.
Darren, you have a question?
Yeah. Oh, that you just answered my question, actually. Let me try something else. How do you reduce the tests? The standard of care is now 3 tests.
Right. Yeah.
How do you're proposing to reduce it to 2? Is
right.
That right?
Yeah.
Can you talk to that?
Yeah. So this old guideline that we've been using has been in practice for years because the current detection is not low enough. So that's why all of the research that's been done in the past shows that you need 6 hours, and that's the safest thing to do. So the European guideline, actually, they've already made this new guideline according to this new test that you can you can actually see. So what I was mentioning about the negative predictive value of 99.5%, that study is being done from looking at it from hour 0 and hour 1, and if there's a difference in that time period. And they found that by using that standard, you have a 99.5% of negative predictive value, which basically means that you can roll in or roll out a heart attack right away. So that's where it comes from.
Do you expect any hurdles to adoption in the U.S. for that different standard of care?
I think that's where 43North in Buffalo and Mass General Hospital comes in play. Is we have key opinion leaders that are trying to push this forward. And the good thing about troponin is that unlike the other markers we're also working on, is troponin is already a standard of care. So we're basically coming out, it's like your iPhone. We're coming out with an iPhone 10, and it's faster, it's better. So people already like it. So it's the adoption rate is going to be not an issue, but we're just telling them, hey, this is a cheaper and a faster test, and you have all these benefits. We're saving $10 billion for everyone, so why not use it?
John.
Are you trying to follow on about the licensing discussion?
Right.
You haven't done your preclinicals. It's a huge value creation as a company, unless you just want to be a licensing group and you want to spin it out. So what do you guys want to be? You've known each other a long time. You've got some great traction.
Right. So I think a lot of the big pharmaceutical companies are talking to us. Huge part is because they see a lot of value in our patented technology. And I think for the past 2 years we've been working on this, we found that having us as a startup to kind of push to a market, a global distribution, that's kind of naive or not achievable as somebody who doesn't really have a lot of money. So partnering up with somebody who's like Servier, who already have distribution in 150 countries, that is a win-win for both of us. And their non-equity deal is really good for us, as we're glad that this is happening.
Well, I'm on the entrepreneur side, so speaking from where you stand, it may look very interesting to you right now. When you become one of 500 products that they sell, you're going to get 1/500th of their interest.
Right.
And you may have given up a big market. So you've got a lot of advisors on your team, but it seems very early to tie up your value to them before you know your own value to the rest of the market.
That's a very good advice, and I think it's just the two sides of the deal. At this stage, we need their support, and for Servier, they're actively developing, because they're a pharmaceutical company, they're very big on the cardiovascular medicine part. So they want to very push forward this digital health and this diagnostic area. They're spending a lot of energy and time on making sure that this works, and at the same time, we're also talking to other companies and making sure that they're, because the distribution deal is only on the troponin part, and we are open to doing it with other companies and finding out the best way for us going forward.
Great job. That was great advice.
Thank you.
Thank you. Congratulations. Great job. Thank you.